Hi software, welcome to your video on commenting code. If you haven't already, please make sure that you have opened up the starter code. Make sure you're logged in, which you'll notice I am not, which is so embarrassing. I'm going to go ahead and log myself in, and then I'm going to go to File, Duplicate. Make sure you're doing that as well. And once you've duplicated the project, you can also hit Save to make sure that everything that you're doing saves and updates. Saving is really, really important, and we're going to be talking about it a lot because I don't want anyone to lose work because they forgot to save. So today we're talking about how to comment code. This is something that you guys have seen before, but it is entirely my bad that I have been a little neglectful in formally teaching this to you and making sure that everyone is using it uniformly in their projects. That's on me. So that is why we are going through it today. And for those of you who did not thoroughly read all of your directions, code comments are the things that look like this, that we put in our code not for the computer to read, but for people to read. And most of the time you guys see these from me as instructions, but sometimes they're also like notes explaining what something does. And what we need to get in the habit of is leaving our own code comments so that when we look back at our work, we know what's happening there. So I'm going to hit play on this project, and you're going to see these cute little emojis that I made really quickly. And these are great, but if I wanted to edit or change these emojis, right now with this code, I don't really know what's controlling what. I could make some guesses at what's happening, but I don't know if those guesses are always right, and so I want to get in the habit of leaving good code comments for myself in my project. So your job is going to be to comment every line of code in the Your Challenge section line by line. We are going to do this first little face together. So I see that on line 11, it sets the stroke weight to 1, so I'm just going to make a note that this makes a thin stroke. Notice I'm not using the word stroke weight again, very much like how when you define words in other classes, you're told don't use the word you're defining in the definition. The same idea is true with notes. So to write this comment, I left 2 slashes after my line of code, after what happened, and I wrote makes a thin stroke, because that is what this does. I also see that the stroke is 0, and I know that this turns the line black. And if I didn't know that, I could practice changing this value to something different. So if I didn't know this is black, what if I turn it to 255 and hit play? Now all of a sudden all my lines are white. So I knew that having it at 0 must be the number that keeps it black. So I'm going to make a note that it turns the line black. And because it turned white on this emoji, I'm assuming everything in this chunk is for this emoji. So I'm going to make a note that this color is this like minty green on my emoji. Leaving color comments is really, really useful when you guys start doing more complicated projects and you're like, I don't know which color made purple or blue or red. This is a quick and easy way for you to leave comments for yourself. Now, one thing you may have noticed is all of the comments I have been leaving, and if you are missing any of these, this is a good reminder to please make sure you pause the video and get these into your own code. Remember, you can pause and rewatch whenever you want, and I always advise to have your screen split with YouTube on half and your code on the other. All of these comments I have been making so far are happening after my code. Sometimes if we have a very short line of code, this is like a totally acceptable thing to do, to just write the comment on the same line right after. But other times people like to add kind of spaces to their code and leave their comments directly before the line of code it's talking about. So this is really common because code is read from the top to the bottom, much like how we read books. The computer reads your code from top to bottom, and so do most people. So if I want to know what a piece of code does, it's helpful to see in English first what it does, and then to see the code itself. So I have an ellipse here, and in my emoji, I'm guessing this ellipse is probably this big green head, but if I wasn't positive if it was the head, I could just try changing some of these numbers, and if this green head moves, that means it's probably the head of my emoji. So I'm just going to change this to like 225, and when I hit play, we notice it moved all the way over here and it left this kind of creepy face. So I know that that was definitely this circle for the head, so I'm going to leave a comment above it that this is the head. That ellipse represents the head. Now I have 3 arcs, and I can see the 3 arcs here. I have 2 eyes and I have a mouth. But again, I don't really know which is which. So if I am trying to figure out which belongs where, I'm just going to change these numbers one at a time, and I'm going to change them kind of drastically, and I'm just going to look at my screen and figure out what changed. So I'm going to look at this first arc. I'm going to change this first number to 210. I'm just going to go in increments of 100 because it'll be easy for me to set it back to normal. So when I hit 210, oh, it looked like the left eye moved. So I'm going to put it back to 110, and I'm going to leave a comment above it that this is the left eye. Hit play, it goes back. Then I'm going to do that with the second number. I'm going to change it to 260. And now it looks like the right eye moved. It's somewhere else. I'm guessing it's probably underneath here. So I'm going to change this back to 160. I'm going to leave a comment that this is the right eye. And I also like to leave a lot of white space, so we can add, like, hit enter if you need to. And then this last one, I only have one thing left. This must be the mouth. And I can move it to test. I'll move it to 236. It goes away. And if I change it to 136, it comes back. Ta-da! This would be fully commented and useful code. There are definitely other ways to leave comments. There's more things you could write. If you are someone who forgot how arcs work, for example, you might have had a note that arcs are always X, Y, width, height, start, stop, or anything else you want. Comments are supposed to be in your own words, are things that'll help you understand the code better. But I would consider this to be very useful comments because if I wanted to change this emoji, I wouldn't have to do that thing of guessing and checking my numbers anymore. I would have the comments already there. And if we're in really good habits of leaving code comments all the time, we don't ever have to do that guess and checking because we have already left comments, and if we want to go edit later, we know exactly what we are looking at. Now, your task is going to be to go through this Your Challenge part, and for every single line of code, you're going to leave a comment with those 2 slashes about what it does for this other emoji. Notice that for this one, I mixed up the order on purpose so that you cannot reliably guess that it's going to go left eye, right eye, mouth. It's going to be in kind of a weird order that you're going to have to figure out. It's up to you if you want to leave your comment right after whatever is written, or if you want to leave it before, and even if you want to hit some enters in to make sure that you know what you're looking at. The last thing I want to explain to you that I think is just really important for us as we get into more complicated things is if I want to easily turn things in and out of a comment, I would highlight everything I want to make a comment. So let's say I don't want to look at this grumpy face anymore. I want him to be commented out. And if I am on a PC or a Chromebook, I'm going to hold the Control key. Because I am on a Mac, I'm going to hold the Command key. But you are either holding Command or Control, depending on your computer. And once everything is highlighted, while you hold that Command or Control key, you're going to hit the / button. And that will turn things into a comment. If you hit it again, it will take them back out from being a comment. This is super, super useful when you're trying to debug things. It's super useful when you're testing. It's super useful when you just don't know if you like something you did, but you don't want to delete all that hard work. You can turn things into a comment and then turn them back into code. Please, please make sure you make note of that. Good luck in your challenge. Reach out if you have any questions, guys. Bye.